Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and throw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Are you looking to unlock your dog's full potential and give them the best nutrition possible for peak performance? Then look no further. Inukshuk has what you're looking for. Inukshuk's nutrient-dense formulas are crafted to keep your dog's energy high and performance top-notch. Packed with premium proteins and essential fats, Inukshuk delivers the balanced nutrition your dog needs to thrive. From hunting dogs to police canines, Inukshuk is trusted by professionals. Give your dog the power of peak performance with Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Well, everybody knows what day it is. It's Wednesday. It's time for your favorite episode of What's Up Wednesday. Thank everybody for following along and being with us today. So we went a little off script last week. We did part 1 of the elk hunt out west. So today, we are going to follow up and finish with part 2. Where we left off. So Rick and I had pulled up out of this canyon, ravine, drainage. That's what it was, drainage. And we took a detour. We were going to one area, and we decided to go to another place because what we thought we heard. So we pulled up out of this drainage up into a little meadow. And it's hard to explain. If you haven't been out west, like you'll just walk through the timber or walk through little draws and drainages, and then it'll be like an opening. So we had pulled up into this opening, and Rick had just whispered to me, "There's a wallow right here." And that's when I heard this noise that I wasn't sure what it was. It sounded like one of Travis's cows or one of his bulls over here moaning is what it sounded like. So Rick hits the bugle, and about 300 yards off, about 11 o'clock from us. So we do everything on a time frame at work. So if you're standing looking in a direction, everything works off a clock. So I'm standing looking at 12 o'clock, and at 11 o'clock, this bugle, 300 yards. So Rick sends me scatting across this meadow, and it's not very big, 100 yards maybe. So I put my Nikes on, and I ran across this thing, hurdled a few tree branches, up into the pines. I went. And I get over there, and I'm like, okay, I'm up in here now. I'm not exactly sure where he's at. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing at this point. Now, I know how to hunt, right? I've been hunting. I know how to hunt. I've stalked plenty of deer. I've chased turkeys all over these Appalachian mountains. But elk is out of my realm. Like, I don't know. Do you treat it like a deer? Do you treat it like a turkey? What do you do? So I get up in there and I pull up into a pine. And I'm going to tell you guys, I leaned into this pine tree and I almost stuck to it. Like when I tried to pull away, I had sap and stuff all over my arms, down across my pants. And I'm like, holy cow. So Rick's still behind me and he's calling. Well, that thing lights up again to my 11 o'clock. but I'm a lot closer now. So I run up 3 or 4 more trees and I get set up and I see it coming off the ridge. I can see it coming down through there. But it's hard, again, hard to explain how thick, even though it's open, it's thick. I, I tried to explain to somebody that, you know, that timber almost makes a fence, like a wall, when you're trying to pick openings through it. Well, comes off the ridge, and I catch bits and pieces of him, and he gets in behind this huge rock. And when I say huge rock, I mean this rock's half the size of a house. It's as big as 2 or 3 vehicles. I mean, it's tall, it's big. He gets in behind it, and I'm like, all right, there's another rock to my 1 o'clock. So 11 and 1. There's another rock there, and I'm like, okay, if he comes in between those rocks, which is what I was banking on, I'm going to have him at 70, 80 yards. So I get set up, and he bugles again, but he's behind the rock. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm trying to control my emotions. Like, I'm expecting to have buck fever, like unreal. Everybody that has had buck fever, you understand shortness of breath, heart pounding out of your chest. You go to get the gun and get it lined up. I mean, you can't keep it still. That's what I'm expecting, and I'm mentally preparing myself for this. Like, all right, work yourself through it. Make sure you're controlling your breathing. Like, this is what's going on in my head at the same time I'm trying to watch and work where this thing's coming out. So he comes out, and I can see the massive rack. And like I said, I've never been in the woods with something like this. Like, I've killed some nice deer. Nothing huge by any means, but I've killed a couple nice deer. So again, I'm expecting buck fever to just take over and shut me down. Well, I see him coming through the timber, and it's just spot, 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 spot. I can see yellow. I can see horns. I can see some dark brown. I can see yellow. He does not turn and come between these 2 rocks. He goes in behind the other rock, but his hindquarters are sticking out. And he stands there for what seemed as an eternity, but it was probably 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm hunkered down. He's not moving. I can see his rear end. That's it. And that blondish yellow. It stands out. It's very distinctive. So Rick's calling. He bugles again. And I can't see him because he goes in behind this other rock. Well, I have put myself in one of the worst places I could have put myself. Like, I'm trapped in between rocks. My vision is very limited. Horrible setup for me. Horrible setup. But running across a meadow, trying to pick a spot with very limited. And I'm telling you, this stuff happened. Like, when I got across the meadow and I got behind that pine tree and stuck to it, like, it wasn't just a few seconds till he came. And then he got behind the rock. And what I should have done is I should have jumped up and I should have run as hard as I could 50 yards to that rock and got behind it. But I didn't. So he walks off, and I'm like, okay, is he going to circle around and come in behind the other rock? So I shifted around where I could get I'm at 3. I need to look at 3 o'clock now. So I'm looking at 3 o'clock, and I'm like, all right. But my vision is very limited. There's a lot of blowdowns right through there. And like, I'm just sitting there. And I've pulled out my binoculars at this point, and I'm glassing. Like, I'm straining my eyes to see where this thing went. So a few minutes went by, and I see Rick coming through the field, and he's waving his hat at me, and he's telling me to come on. So I had to dump my backpack because my Axle 2.0 Extremes were in it, and I had to get them out. So I dumped my backpack. I grabbed it. I'm double timing it back towards Rick, And Rick's like, he's going to try to circle us. We need to cut him off. I'm like, all right, tell me what to do. So we boogie down through this meadow, and he says, I want you to go to 45. I want you to cut right across through here. We got to cut him off because if he gets downwind of us, he's gone. I'm like, all right. So I take off at a 45 degree, and I literally do not go 20 yards to the woods, and he bugles. And he sounded like he was right in my face. So I drop and find something to get behind. But he's in behind a bunch of conifers. I cannot see him. I can hear him plain as day. He sounds super close to me, like well within range of that 30-06, but I can't see him. So Rick pulls up behind me. He calls a little bit. We get him to bugle. I mean, he bugles, several times. And Rick pulls up to me again. He's like, "Hey, listen." Now this is over a period of probably 30 minutes or so. So we're 45 minutes or better into this now. So we're there. And Rick tells me, he's like, he's gonna bust out of here. We have got to get up with him. And I'm like, all right, you tell me what to do, and I'm on it. He says, we got to pull up. So in my mind, hunting at home, he had went over a little point, a ridge. So to me, I'm going to go on the backside of that ridge and try to make good time and go up the backside of it to get parallel or maybe even a little bit above him. So I'm spotting and talking, like I'm going up through there, and I'm using trees as cover, and like I go 10 or 15 feet, I grab a tree, I got my binoculars out, I'm spotting, I give it a few seconds, a minute, and then I'll go grab another tree. I look like Yogi Bear just jumping from tree to tree, right? That's what I look like going up the side of the mountain here. Well, I look up and I see orange, and I'm like, what? Who is that? And that's Rick. He's above me. And I'm like, why did he get up there? I've never seen him come around me. So I literally just, boom, I go right to Rick. And again, this is where the altitude gets my breathing a little bit. So pulling up the steep of this ridge, everything's good physically, just a shortness of breath. So I get up to Rick, and he's talking to me. I'm like, give me a minute. So I catch my breath, and he's like, all right. He's like, I'm pretty sure I seen him crossing the hollow below us. So we're glassing, we're looking, and we're trying to determine what is the best move here. Like, what do we do? So we start paralleling across the ridges now, and we're kind of dropping in. So we go across the first ridge, and he's glassing pretty hard, and we top up on the little point of the second ridge and glass really hard there for a few minutes, and we start down into that next little hollow. I guess that's what you call them out west. That's what we would call them here. It was a little belly of two ridges. So we start down into it, and Rick stops. He's, hold up. And I'm stopping, and I'm looking now. I don't have my binoculars out. Rick's like, right there he is. So I'm looking, and again, about 11 o'clock, I see the blonde standing between the timber. All right. So I literally just drop down, and there's down timber where we're at. So I just drop down, put the gun across the timber. And guys, I wished I could show you a picture of what I'm looking at. So I've got about a 2-foot window to shoot through. This timber is tight, and the elk is standing at about 200 yards. We can give or take 10, 15 yards here or there. Not 100% sure. We did not measure it, but it was across the hollow up onto the next ridge. So I look at Rick, and I'm like, I don't like it, and he's like, take the shot. So we're kind of going back and forth. I'm getting settled in. All right, let's go back to that buck fever. So I got the gun down. I'm across a blowdown. I'm taking we call it combat breathing. I'm in for 4, release for 4, in for 4, and I'm all over the place. And I'm like, okay. So I literally come off the scope, take a deep breath, get back on the scope, get lined up, and I start that squeeze, pop, tap. Gun goes off, and I'm really good about doing a follow through. I think that is very important in any type of shooting, whether it be archery, our handguns at work, or rifle. Follow through is very important. But I did not see the hit, and normally I do. I did not see it, and Rick's like, "That was a good shot. That was a good shot," but I did not see it. And he said the bull buckled when he hit. But I can see him walking up the ridge. And I see this for probably 30 to 50 yards, and then he disappears. And I'm catching my breath. Me and Rick are like, Rick's like, that was a good shot. We're talking, and we discussed it. We're like, all right, we're gonna give him a while. We're gonna sit down, get our stuff together, and we're gonna give him time. So Rick's got his binoculars out, his glass, and he's like, he's down. And I still haven't stopped smiling about this. Like every time I have this discussion, I tell somebody the story, like I'm smiling right now because I cannot explain the carousel of feelings, emotions, relief that I did not mess this up. Because during that hour and a half of chasing that bull all through, I mean, he would not come to us. He didn't want to leave the cow call, but he would not break. He would not break and come to us. We had to go to him multiple times. Like I said, I went to him the first time, went to him the second time, pulled up, started into him closer the second time. He pinned me down, and I didn't want to bust him out of there. And then we chased him up the mountain. So I didn't mess it up. And to be able to harvest something that you have dreamed about for years, 4 years, I've always heard how majestic the elk is, and the bugle. And I got to hear that. I mean, probably 15, 20 times. It could have been more. I got to hear those bugles. I got to hear that deep, deep bugle at the end, which not necessarily, but a lot of times it portrays the age of the elk. I've never seen an animal that massive when I've actually been out hunting. You know, I've seen them in the national parks, and I've done this, but to be able to be chasing them, like, it was overwhelming. So Rick says he's down. We go up, and where we thought he was, and he's not. So I'm kind of almost in panic mode. I'm like, did I hit him? And I asked Rick, I'm like, did I hit him? And Rick's like, yes, he did. So I start looping back down into the holler that we just come out of, and Rick loops back the other way to the ridge. So we're both looking and looking and looking, and I don't even know what I'm looking for. Like, in my mind, I'm still looking for the white on the belly of a whitetail. And if everybody's ever looked for that, they understand what I'm talking about. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, all right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for horns. Am I looking for, blonde? What am I looking for? So I'm kind of wandering around aimlessly. Like, I'm just looking. Like, I'm just looking. I'm glassing over. I'm looking down through the logs and making sure, because there was a lot of blow down timber in here. 5 minutes go by, and Rick hollers, "Heath, over here." So I pull back up out of the holler, and he goes, "He's right there." So we top over that little ridge that he was on, and there he lays. And I am just in awe of how big this creature is. Again, I've never hunted anything like this. And as we go up to him, I mean, just like I said, all the emotions, all the things that you run through you. And Rick's like, he's over there talking. Half the stuff I'm hearing, half the stuff I'm not. Like, I'm still like in shock. And then we get up to the bull, and Rick's like, he's a 6x7. He's a 6x7. And for this area, that's a good bull. I will say that not I've seen a lot bigger for sure, but for me, from being from Southwest Virginia, he was a dandy. So we go up, and we are just looking this creature over, and like I'm smiling. I'm smiling from ear to ear. Rick's talking to me. We're kind of reliving, what just happened. We're walking through it. Rick even says, "Man," he said, he says, "That's a darn good shot." And I'm just kind of taking it all in. Like, I actually sit down on a rock right there, and I take my backpack off, and I've got my jacket wrapped around my waist because it was a little warm that morning pulling up some of those draws that we come up out of. So I had my jacket wrapped around my waist. I'm dropping my bino harness in my backpack, and like I'm just taking it in because it was an absolutely one of the most fantastic hunting feelings that I've ever had. And to be able to go out and do that is a blessing. And I know you guys hear me say blessing a lot, and I'm blessed in a lot of ways. So Rick calls Nancy, and how we had service, we were 9,500 feet up. How we had service up there is beyond me because we did not have it down in the bottom. But I guess where we were so high. So Rick calls Nancy, and I mean, she's excited. I FaceTime Chelsea. Of course, she's at work, and she's like, "Yay!" I'm like, "That's all I get, yay!" So we kind of decide what we're going to do. We start getting some help lined up as far as getting this thing out of here. We're only about a half a mile down to the horse trail. So we make a couple phone calls. Well, Barry gets on, he helps. So we're lining up how we're going to do this. Rick and I we're gonna cord this thing up and get everything ready to pack out, and then get the help to us and go from there. That's the plan. So we get off the phone, and I got to tell you, I got to put this out there because this is how good friends are. So two guys from work had offered up, like, "Hey, if you kill an elk, we'll fly out, we'll rent a car, and we'll drive it back so we can bring the meat home," right? Because how do you get 400 pounds of meat back? Like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. So I call one of them, and I'm like, "Hey, I got one on the ground." And they're like, "We on the next flight. We on the next flight." And I'm like, hold up. We got to get this situated, figure out what's going on. So they're excited. I mean, they're ready to jump on a plane and get out there and help me and make the 28-hour ride home with me and 2 or 3 coolers full of elk meat. But I will discuss that here in a little bit, how that happened. So we take the pictures. Like, we're trying to get everything lined up. And the way this thing was laying, we were on a steep. And it was hard to move that scoundrel. Like, holy cow, it was all that we could do to kind of get him rolled over and him in a good position to get, some pictures. And the pictures don't do it justice, I'll just tell you, because of the angles the way he was laid downhill. But we did the best we could. We took pictures and everything, and then so Rick and I actually start, you know, trying to quarter him up. And of course, Rick's like, "Hey, are you going to get this mounted? What are you going to do? We've got to decide before we start, cutting on this." So I sat there for a few minutes, and in my mind, I'm like, I'd already talked myself into doing just a European mount. That was the goal. And then I'm like, all right, Rick says this is a good bull. It's a 6x7. I may never, ever, ever get an opportunity like this again. So I'm gonna get it mounted. I'm gonna get it mounted. Rick's like, all right, so we need to cape it back to here, and this is what we're doing. So Rick starts making the cuts to get that done. And guys, that's when the work begins. I mean, you think pulling those mountains and ridges and stuff's tough. Like, man, quartering one of those boogers out, I would not want to do that by myself. Period. Would not want to do that by myself. So, I'm rolling it this way, and Rick's doing his thing, and then we're trying to get the cape off here. And it was an all day. I mean, it was after this bull was down by 8 o'clock. And the time we got everything quartered up, packed up in the pack out bags, everything rolled up and ready, it was after lunch. So good 4 hours. And it could have been a little bit longer than that. It may have been closer to 1. It could have been 5. And I mean, we did take a break or two. We sit back, we eat a sandwich, we had conversation. And I want to tell you this story. So while we're quartering this thing up, Rick stands up and he's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "No." So we're listening. He goes up to his backpack. He gets his bugle out. He hits his bugle. And sure enough, across the valley, there's another bull bugling. And Rick's like, "He'll be up here in a little bit." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah. He probably heard that bull bugling this morning. Now he's coming looking for him." So we go back to doing our stuff. And it wasn't 10 or 15 minutes went by and heard him again. He was a lot closer. He's probably within 200 yards then. And Rick calls a few times. And we go back to finishing up the quartering. And I'm pretty sure he circled around and got above us because Rick could hear the brush crashing. So he probably come right in on us and seen us or smelt us and then left out of there. But like I said, while we're quartering this one up, we can hear another one bugle in the same drainage. So that was awesome just to be able to experience that. So we go ahead and get everything packed up, got everything laid over in the shade. We're nice and cool. The meat's cooling off. We don't want it to ruin, right? And we start down off the mountain, and we're trying to cut a path that we're going to come back up in. And we haven't heard from Toby. We've tried to call Toby. We've texted Toby. We don't know what's going on with that. So we get everything lined up. We go down to the bottom. We meet our help, bring our help up, and we got to pull back all the way back up in there. Which, when I say all the way, it wasn't horrible, but we had to pull back up in there. And I'm so glad we had help because in my mind, carrying a leg out, coming back, carrying a leg out, I didn't think it would be that bad. But I had to pack the hide, the head, and the horns out. So we got it wrapped up tight. We put it up on my shoulders, and it was probably 100 pounds or a little more. I mean, when you put your foot down, you needed to put your foot down so you weren't like sliding off of there. I mean, it was a good bit of weight. And picking your way down off, they call it the Rocky Mountains for a reason, right? Because it's so rocky. But picking your way down through where we were at, it took me a little bit longer than I thought to get back down to the horse trail. And then I get down to the horse trail, and I'm trying to adjust that thing on my shoulders, and then flop, it falls off. I lost it, and I'm like, well, how am I? Rick and all of them's already out to the side by side. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get this thing back up on my shoulders? So I'm looking around and I see a dead log, falling down log over here. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to set it up on that log, and then I'm going to sit down, pull it back over my shoulders, and then I'll stand up. Well, that was a feat within itself, I'll just tell you. If you'd have been in there filming that, it looked like a three-ring circus because it fell off twice. It knocked me in the head once. I finally got it adjusted and got it up on my shoulders. And I'm like, I don't care what's going on. This thing is not coming back on my shoulders till I get out to the side-by-side. So anyway, I get out. I drop it on the bed of the side-by-side. Rick's got to help me because I'm getting pretty drained at this point. It was probably I'd say it's 3 o'clock by now. And so we get everything loaded up in the side-by-side and waiting on Toby. We finally did make contact with him through text message, I think. And then we're waiting on Toby. So when Toby gets there, we get to go back and go back to the cabin, which I think is like 6-7 miles from where we're at. But I mean, man, what a great day. What an unbelievable experience. And I told Rick at one point, like, how lucky, how do you get so lucky? And, credit to him, because without him guiding me, and I don't mean guiding, I mean giving me guidance, like telling me, okay, do this, don't do that, move here, don't move there. That I don't think that any of that would have happened. If I was on my own, completely naive to any type of elk hunting, behavior, tactics, anything about that, it would have been a big learning curve for me from what I'm used to, what I thought to what actually happened. So, like, Rick's awesome. I'll just tell you, like, having an experience and being able to share it with him and learn, from him who's done this for 20 plus years out west. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And it is something that I will never forget. Like, never. Like, it's I mean, it was a fantastic experience. So all right, I'm going to leave you with that. And I just want to thank you for following this story and being able to share it with you. And when this drops, go onto my post and post pictures of your experiences or your pictures of your elk. I would love to see them. So I will be actually looking forward to that. So thank you guys for following us on What's Up Wednesday. And until next time, we'll see you at the tree.
Tailgate drops before the light, coolers packed and the rig sitting right, tracking collars charged, beeping green, boots in the bed and the rifle's clean. Dog box rattling, engines hum, we're chasing bear till the day is done. Old ring barking like he knows what's near, nose to the wind, tail full of cheer. From the Virginia mountains to the Carolina clay, we're burning fuel and miles each day. Every turn's another tale, through mountain mist and paper trails. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York forest, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Rest stops few, the roads are long, but the fire in our hearts still burns strong. Wisconsin mornings cutting crisp and clear, Canada's wildwoods drawing near. Still got stays, we ain't run, but that hound dog fever won't let us quit. We see the sun chasing bear. Gas station coffee, Alpha XL on the dash. Another back road, another bear track. Friends made fast and stories told slow. Under stars where only hunters go. We see the sunrise gold in Canadian air, and it sets on a trail down in Appalachia. Packing steel and leather, grit and care. We're built for the road and chasing bear. So load the dogs and slam the gate. There's a trail ahead, we won't be late. From dawn to dusk, we're always there. Chasing daylight, chasing them bears.